Knowing that there could be two levels to sell from makes me understand what I see, as we can see here on the screen there.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're connecting. I want to believe you can hear me loud and clear. How has been your week? How has been your week? Hope it's been profitable. Hear me? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please I'd like to know. If you can hear me, I'd like to know. Also confirm you can see my screen. Confirm you can see my screen. All right, all right, all right. If you have any question, please drop it in the comment section. If you have any instruments you're considering trading, if you have any question, let me. Okay, let's. Okay, you can see my screen. Okay, everything is okay. Okay, Ebuka, I've told you, focus on major currency pairs. Focus on major currency pairs. I don't know what you're doing with card CH. Focus on major currency pairs. Please focus on major currency pairs. Leave all this cross. What's it called? Minor pairs and cross currency. You either trade the major currency pairs or you trade uh, JPY pairs. JPY pairs, and the JPY pairs I recommend is GBP JPY and Euro JPY. Those are the two JPY pairs I would recommend that you trade. Okay, focus on major currency pairs, pairs that are very volatile. Okay, so let's start by looking at the calendar. I believe we all know today is CPI. Today is Wednesday, June 11th. And CPI data, US Consumer Price Index data will be released by 1:30 p.m. Okay, so they are expecting increase from 0.2 to 0.3. That's 0.1% on difference increase. Then for CPI they are expecting the data to remain the same as the previous. You can see the previous 0.2, the forecast is 0.2. CPI the previous was 2.3 and the forecast value, so they're expecting increase on CPI and core CPI, okay? Just on 0.1, 0.2% on increase, okay? So if you're considering trading USD pairs today, I would advise you wait for this news to be released. Wait for this news to be released before you take a trade on USD. But if you insist on going with your technicals, you can go ahead and execute the trade, but ensure that you are very conservative. Okay, ensure you're very conservative. So let's say your daily drawdown is $50. You can risk $25, okay, in London session, and after the news is released, you still have $25 you can risk trading on CPI, okay? Don't go all in this morning. Don't go all in London session. But if you see your technical setup, go ahead and execute the trade, but be very conservative. I hope that is clear. Good morning, Mr. Raphael. Good morning, Nebuka. Good morning, Joro Boy. Good morning, Mr. Sampson. Okay, don't worry, we'll look at all the pairs. We'll look at all the pairs. So that's my take on CPI. If you're trading dollar pairs, patiently wait for it to be released. And if you insist on trading the London session, if you insist on going with your technical setup, ensure you're conservative, okay? So let's go to the chart. So let's start by looking at on DXY. Please, I do not recommend FBS broker. The broker I use in trading is Oro Market. That is the broker I recommend. That is the broker I trade with. I do not recommend FBS, please. I do not recommend FBS. I just come here to analyze dollar, okay? I use this platform to analyze the dollar. That is all. I don't trade on with FBS. The platform I trade with is Oro Market, okay? So let's start by let's look at the weekly again. Let's review the weekly. So last candle closed on. Last week candle closed as an hammer. It closed as an hammer. Okay, it closed as an hammer. And after the close of the hammer on weekly time frame, let's see the pattern we had on. Okay, so we had an engulfing pattern on the daily time frame, which indicates change in trend from bearish to bullish. And if you go back here, you would see on the daily time frame, we had this this fair value gap here. Okay, now let's go down to lower time frame. Let's go down to 4 hour. At this point, we had a fair value gap here. So on the 4 hour time frame, we had this fair value gap. Okay, which I think is the reason for the retracement. Okay, so let's go back. We had this fair value gap here, I think on 4 hour time frame. I think we had a tiny fair value gap here, yeah. So that could be the reason for the retracement. That could be the reason for the retracement. Price pulled back, filled this fair value gap. This was the first attempt. This was the second attempt. You can see price came, filled the fair value gap, and there's been strong rejection from that area. You can see that. So let's see, let's go back to daily. So let's see how yesterday candle closed. Yesterday candle closed as a shooting star after sweeping the residing at this previous high. It closed as a shooting star, which in change in trend from bullish to bearish. Okay, which indicates change in trend from bullish to bearish. So let's go down to 4-hour. So we had this pattern on 4-hour yesterday. Okay, so we had this shooting star yesterday. Market now, you can see on 4-hour time frame that US dollar has been ranging for some days. I think for the past 2 days, it's been ranging, and that's because of the CPI data and PPI data that will be released. That's the reason for the ranging market. Okay, so after of this shooting star, I think a fair value gap was created at this point. Let's see if that fair value gap has been filled. Let's see if the fair value gap has been filled. So this fair value gap has been filled. Okay, this fair value gap has been filled. So you can see it has been filled. Immediately that gap got filled, you can see there's been a strong rejection from that zone. So going by the pattern we have on daily 4-hour, 1-hour, dollar is bearish. Okay, based on the pattern we have on the daily 4-hour and 1-hour time frame, dollar is bearish. As you can see at this point, there was a shift in market structure at this point. First thing they did here was to clear liquidity residing at this previous high. And after sweeping the liquidity residing at this previous high, you can see the pattern we had on 1-hour time frame. This is an engulfing candle, and this is what? The shooting star. This is a shooting star, and we had an engulfing candle. So what we have on 4-hour, daily, 1-hour, the dollar is bearish. That's my take on the dollar. Okay, it is bearish at the moment. Dollar is bearish at the moment. Okay, dollar is bearish at the moment. That's my take on the dollar at the moment. Okay, it is bearish. Let's see 15 minutes. Let's see 15 minutes. Okay. So dollar is bearish at the moment. Okay, dollar is bearish at the moment. Dollar is bearish at the moment. That's my take for the dollar. At the moment, it is bearish. It's bearish at the moment. Okay. I hope that is clear. I hope that is clear. Let's look at the yen baskets. Let's see the yen basket. Yen has been in a range since the close of yesterday candle. Yen has been ranging. Yen has been ranging. Okay, let's start with the daily time frame. Okay, so you can see today's candle, indecision candle. Yen has been ranging. So on yen, we have this fair value gap. Price just filled this fair value gap. Okay, price just filled this fair value gap, and you can see there's rejection from that zone. So if today's candle closes bullish, then we could look for buys on yen. If today's candle closes bullish, we could look for buys on yen. But based on how yesterday candle closed, you can see yesterday candle closed bearish. Closed bearish after clearing, I think it cleared the liquidity residing at this previous high. I think. Okay, it didn't get there, it didn't clear that liquidity. But let's see what we had on 4-hour after the close of this candle. Let's see what we had on 4 hour after the close of this candle. Most likely, maybe a fair value gap was created after the close of this candle, and that's the reason for the pullback we saw in the market yesterday. Let's just confirm on lower time frame. So on lower time frame, this is what we had on lower time frame. You can see this. We had what looks like an engulfing pattern. This is a spinning top engulfing pattern. So let's go down to 15 minutes. Let's see. Probably a fair value gap was created after the formation of this pattern. Let's see 1 hour and 15 minutes. So you can see on 1 hour we had this. Okay, so this could be the reason for the pullback. This, okay, this fair value gap could be the reason for the pullback, and also this other block here. This other block here could be the reason for this pullback. You can see that. Okay, that's the reason for the pullback, and as you can see here, yen has been in a range. So my bias for the yen still remains bearish. Okay, I would only change my bias from sells to buy if today's candle closes bullish. But based on the Monday, Tuesday candle, yen is still bearish. Yen is still bearish, and I'm hoping that yen will come for the liquidity residing at this relative equal. That is what I see playing out yen. But if today's candle closes bullish, then one should consider buying. Okay, look at what we have on the daily time frame. You can see yesterday candle respected the high of a candle. You can see that. Okay, you can see that. So this indicates that there are more supply than demand. Okay, so that's my take for the yen. It remains bearish. Okay, my bias for the yen still remains bearish. Okay, so let's go see currency pairs. Start by looking at GBP USD. I took a trade on GBP USD and I'm still holding that trade. Let's see GBP USD. Okay, so I saw GBP USD at this point, which is in profit. But as it is right now, it seems GBP USD is buying. Okay, let me start with the daily time frame. Let me start with the daily time frame. Yesterday candle. Okay, so yesterday candle closed as it looks like an armor, right? It looks like an armor, but not. This is not a valid armor. But let's go down to 4 hours after the close of yesterday candle. This is not a place, but let's see. There is a rejection. Okay, so this is the pattern we had on 4 hour time frame after the close of the daily time frame. This is what we had on 4 hour. This is not a bullish reversal pattern. This is not a bullish reversal pattern. And if you look at this candle, that is the reason I'm still selling GBP USD. If you look at this candle, this is a shooting star, and I think this pullback was to fill this fair value gap. You can see that the pullback I think was to come fill this fair value gap. You can see. So after they filled the fair value gap, look at the pattern that it's a shooting star, indicating change in trend from bullish to bearish. Okay, so I think GBP USD is still bearish. It is still bearish. Okay, it is still bearish. Now, when I analyzed the dollar, I said dollar is bearish, right? I said dollar is bearish, and if dollar is bearish, GBP USD is supposed to be bullish. Okay. Now, if you go down to DXY here, let me go back to DXY. If you want to buy dollar, please pay attention. If you want to buy the dollar, okay, if you want to buy the dollar, let's see, 15 minutes. Okay, if you want to buy the dollar, you could look for buy. Okay, you could look for buy. Technically, you could look for buy if price fills this fair value gap, if price pulls back to this zone, or if 1 hour candle closes above this zone, you could buy. So if by 11 the market is still trading above this zone, you could buy the dollar. Are you with me? You could buy the dollar because we still have a fair value gap here on 15 minutes, which price might fill or it continue selling. Okay, this fair value gap here, probability price still want to come and fill the value gap on the dollar. So if you want to sell GBP USD, wait for 1 hour candle to close. If it closes above this level, above this zone, okay, you should buy dollar. You should buy dollar. Okay, buy the dollar if 1 hour candle closes above this zone. It's either price comes to test this zone, pull back to fill this fair value gap. 1 hour candle closes above this zone, then you buy, which means if you are buying above this zone, you look for sells on GBP USD and sells on Euro USD. I hope that is clear. I hope that is clear. Please give the video a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up if you haven't done that. And if it's your first time joining the live stream, please do subscribe to the channel so that anytime I come on live, you get notified by YouTube, or anytime I drop a content on this channel, you get notified by YouTube, okay? So that's my take on Euro USD. Sorry, GBP USD. I expect GBP USD to come clear the liquidity residing at this low. Okay. Now on GBP USD, we have a fair value gap here, which is on 4-hour time frame. Okay, this fair value gap here is on 4-hour time frame. I think they might want to come and fill this fair value gap again. I think this is a trap. This was the first attempt. Okay, this was the first attempt to fill this fair value gap. This was the first attempt. Okay, this was the first attempt, second attempt. Okay, but they didn't fill the gap entirely at this point. So there's a high probability they will come and fill this gap. Okay, so I'm looking for buys on USD later on if CPI data is negative for the dollar. If CPI data comes out negative for the dollar, I would be buying I would be buying GBP USD from this zone. From this zone, if the data comes out negative for the dollar, I would be looking for buy on GBP USD from this zone. Okay, so once price comes clear the liquidity residing at this low, I will close my sell trade. I will close my sell trade and look for buy opportunity. Okay, but if the news comes out positive for the dollar, then we should expect more sales. Okay, we should expect more sales if the news comes out positive for the dollar. I hope that is clear. Okay, so as you can see on this trade, I've adjusted my to my entry level. I've adjusted my stop loss, so there's no risk on this trade. It's even below, my stop loss is below my entry level, so I'm not taking any risk on this trade at the moment. Okay, I'm not taking any risk on this trade at the moment. Okay, so that's my take on Euro USD. Let's see on GBP USD. Sorry, let's see GBP USD. So GBP USD yesterday candle close looks like a spinning top, like it looks like an indecision candle. Okay, an indecision candle. So let's see 4 hour. Let's see the pattern that formed on 4 hour. Okay, so this is what we had on 4 hour yesterday. This is a bearish reversal pattern, right? This is a bearish reversal pattern. Price pulled back. I think it pulled back to fill this fair value gap here. You can see this tiny fair value gap. Price pulled back to fill this fair value gap. And the pattern we had yesterday on 4 hour is a bearish reversal pattern. We had what looks like a spinning top. The next candlestick closed as a doji, okay, which indicates change in trend from bullish to bearish. And I think after the formation of this pattern, I think maybe a fair value gap was created on a lower time frame. Let's just, which could be the reason for the retracement. Let's see 1 hour. Okay, so this is what we had on 1 hour time frame. Now at this point, I think a fair value gap was created. I think a fair value gap was created. Let's see. I think a fair value gap was created. So we had this fair value gap here. Can you see this fair value gap? We had this fair value gap. That could be the reason for the retracement. And this gap has been filled at the moment. This gap has been filled at the moment. Shift in market structure occurred at this point. Okay, shift in market structure has occurred at this point on 15 minutes time frame. Price pulled back to a premium area and shift in market structure. So if 1 hour candle, if you want to sell USD today, wait for 1 hour candle to close below this zone. Okay, wait for 1 hour candle to close below this zone. And if you are selling below this zone, your stop loss should be this level. Let's assume a candle closes at this price. You set your stop loss. You can use 20 pips. You can use 20 pips as your stop loss, and your take profit, you can just set it at 30 pips. 30 pips, okay? 30 pips. If you are executing before New York session, you can just go for 30 pips. That's because of the CPI data that will be released. Okay. But if the trade is in profit before CPI, you can remove the take profits. Remove the take profit. If the trade is still open before CPI, you can remove the take profit, leave the take profit open, or ensure that your stop loss is intact. Okay. You can remove your take profits. Okay, because CPI can favor your trade, and with that you make more profits. Okay, you can leave. Most times I leave my TP open. I leave my TP open because sometimes the market can just pass your target. It can exceed that level that you used as target. Okay. Now you don't have to leave all your trade. You don't have to leave your trade open, everything open. For example, once the market gets to my target, let's say my target is 60 pips. My target is 60 pips, and because a major news is being expected, when the market gets to 60 pips, I close at least 70% of whatever profit I have on that trade. 70%. So, for example, if I take a trade before CPI is released on Euro USD and my let's say 60 pips, once the market gives me 60 pips, I'm going to close 70 pips, 70% of whatever profit I've made, and I'll leave the remaining to run till after CPI. Then I would also use my stop loss to break even or a few pips above my entry level. I hope that is clear. I hope you guys are learning. I hope you all are learning. Okay. Joro is asking, sir, what if I didn't get that place in 1 hour time frame? I mean, few minutes. I'm trying to read on Joro's question. Sir, what if I didn't get that place in 1 hour time frame? I don't get your question. I don't get your question. I don't get your question. So that's my take on, if you want to sell Euro USD, wait for 1 hour candle. Wait for 1 hour candle to close below this zone before you sell. Okay, wait for 1 hour candle to close below that zone before you sell. Okay, let's move to the let's look at the pairs you guys are interested in. Let's look at the pairs you guys are interested in. Let's look at the pairs you guys are interested in. Few minutes. Few minutes. Few minutes. Okay. CAT CHF. Okay, that's from Ibuka. CAT CHF. CAT CHF. New charts. So let's start with the daily time frame. So you can see CAT CHF has been in a range for some time. That is why I advise not to trade all these cross currency pairs or minor pairs. You can see most times these pairs are in a range. So I don't think they are not worth trading. All these cross currency pairs, they are not worth trading. They are not worth trading. Just focus on major currency pairs. You can see it's been ranging for almost 2 weeks now. For almost 2 weeks or 2 weeks, this pair has been ranging. This will just tie down your capital. To just tie down your capital for weeks. It's been ranging, and they are not volatile. They are not volatile. Okay, just focus on major currency pair, please. Pairs that are volatile. Okay, so on the weekly time frame, okay, we had this on the weekly time frame. Let me go down to daily. Okay, so on a daily time frame, we had this fair value gap on a daily time frame. This fair value gap has not been filled. It has not been filled. This fair value gap has not been filled. Let's go down to 4 hour. Let's see. Okay, so on 4 hour, we have this fair value gap that has not been filled. So I would like to see price come fill this fair value. Okay. I would like to see CAD CHF come fill this fair value gap. Okay, I would like to see CAD CHF come fill this fair value gap. So let's based on how yesterday candle closed. Yesterday candle closed strongly bullish, and I think this pullback was to come fill. I think after the formation of this candle, let's see. Probably a fair value gap was created on 4-hour or 1-hour time frame. This is 4-hour. Let's see 1 hour. I think a fair value gap was created. You can see this fair value gap we had here on 1-hour time frame. So this could be the reason for the pullback. This could be the reason for the pullback. Let's go down to 15 minutes. Let's see. That could be the reason for the pullback. Let's see. So, okay, so I believe if you go down to, let's go down to 5 minutes. There's a fair value gap here. There's a fair value gap here. Let's go down to 5 minutes. There's a fair value gap there. Okay, so you can see this on 5 minutes. So the reason price broke out from the fair value gap we identified on 15 minutes. So if you go back, let's see where price is at the moment. You can see, so this fair value gap has been filled. Can you see that? And the shift in market structure occurred at this point. And after shifting market structure, you expect price to pull back to a premium area, right? So you can see price has pulled. The risk on CAD CHF, that's a sell. It's a sell. It's a sell. Okay, it's a sell. Mr. Chris, okay. Euro USD. We've looked at Euro USD. Okay, we've looked at Euro USD. Okay. Euro USD this morning, I'm still bearish on Euro USD. I'm still bearish on Euro USD. Okay, that's my bias on USD. Okay, so if you're trading CAD CHF, look for sales, not buys. Look for sales. If you sell the current market price, is selling. Okay, you can, if you want to sell it, it's a good trade. This is about, you can set your stop loss should be at this point 20 pips, and your TP should be the fair value gap I identified on 4-hour time frame. Okay, so that's my take. So if you are risking 20 pips, set your stop loss above this level. Let's say use 25 pips. Okay, you could set, this will be the first target. This fair value gap will be your first target. This is about 45 pips, no, 40 pips, 40 pips. Then you could aim for this fair value gap or you aim for this low. That's my take on CAD CHF. It's a sell. Okay, it's a sell. Going by the daily 4-hour time, it's a sell. Daily 4-hour and 1 hour, it's a sell. CAD CHF is a sell. It's a sell. Okay, so I take on CAD CHF, Mr. Ebuka. Okay, Mr. Sampson, Australian dollar card. Australian dollar card. Okay, a few minutes. Australian dollar card. Okay, Australian dollar card. Australian dollar card. So let's start with the weekly. Okay. I think Australian dollar card is a sell. Let's see. Let's see. Last week candle was bullish. Last week candle was bullish, so it created an high. And this week they've cleared the high of last week. You can see they've cleared the high of last week. Let's go down to daily. The high of last week has been cleared. Okay. So yesterday, this is a sell setup on the daily time frame. This is a sell. This is a sell setup on a daily time frame. Daily time frame closed as a spinning top yesterday. It closed as a spinning top. I think after it cleared the liquidity residing at this high. Yeah, the liquidity that was residing at the previous day, you can see that liquidity got cleared yesterday and a bearish reversal pattern formed. That tells me Australian dollar card is bearish. Okay, well, let's go down to 4 hour. Let's see the pattern we had on 4 hour. So this is what we had on 4 hour yesterday. Price tested, we had this resistance area. Okay, price tested that area. Been a strong rejection from that zone. So let's see 1 hour. So we had a fair value gap here. Price came back, filled that fair value gap. Okay, then also we have this fair value gap here. So if you want to sell, wait for 1 hour candle to close below this zone. This is a fair value gap on 1 hour time frame. Let's see 15 minutes. Okay, so this is a fair value gap on 4 hour. So you should consider selling if 1 hour closes below this zone. Okay, if price breaks out from this zone, then you should look for sales from this zone. That's my take on Australian dollar card. My bias for today's market is a sell. Is a 1 hour closes below this zone, you could sell. If price breaks out from this, it means they are going for this fair value gap. Then you look for sales if 1 hour candle closes below this zone. That is my take on Australian dollar card. My bias is sell on Australian dollar card. It's a sell. It's a sell on Australian dollar card. Are you guys still? Are you still here? Can you still hear me? If there's any pair you want me to analyze, please drop it in the comment section. Drop it in the comment section. If you have any question, any forex related question, drop it in the comment section. It could be on risk management, it could be on psychology, it could be on trading plan. Ask questions if you have any. Okay. So let's look at SDJPY. CPI, USDJPY, USDJPY. Okay, I think the chart is still updating. I think the chart is still updating. Let's wait for it to load. Okay. This fair value gap here. Okay. I would expect USDJPY to come fill this fair value gap. Okay. If I would consider selling USDJ, it needs to come and fill this fair value gap. I think this was the high of yesterday markets, right? This was 10th. This was the high of yesterday markets. So there's a high probability you guys can hear me. Okay, so that is my take on USD JPY. Can you guys still hear me? Can you guys still hear me? Can you 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 can you guys still hear me? Sorry for that break. It was due to poor network. Can you guys still hear me? Can you still hear me? Hello, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I think the network is okay now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, no. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I think it's okay now. I think I think it's better now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? 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 You can see I've been switching from one network to the other. Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? I think it's better now. So I was looking at, I think, USD JPY before the connection went off. Okay. So I said I would like to see price come clear the liquidity residing at these previous highs. Okay. Before going bearish on USD JPY. So technically, USD JPY is still bullish. USD JPY is still bullish. Still bullish. USD JPY is still bullish. Okay, USD JPY is still bullish. Look for buys on USD JPY. You have any question? Let me know. Let me know. USD JPY is still. If you have any question, let me know. So what played out on USD JPY this morning? You can see USD JPY has cleared this liquidity. The liquidity residing at this previous low. Okay, USD JPY cleared the liquidity residing at the previous low, and you can see the pattern that formed there. This is a bullish reversal pattern. So USD JPY is bullish at it's going for this relative equal high. This will be the first target on USD JPY. This relative equal high will be the target for USD JPY. This will be the first target. Okay, so if you want to take any trade on USD JPY, it should be a buy. Please apply good risk and money management. USD JPY is going to buy. It's going to buy. This is a buy setup. It's a buy setup. It's a buy setup. Okay, it's a buy. It's a buy. Okay. Any question? Is there any other pair you want us to look at? Let me know. If you have any question or any pair you want us to look at, let me know. Let me know. 3341.40. 3341. So gold is bearish at the moment. 3341.40. 3341.40. So was my entry on gold. Okay, this is where I entered the trade. Yeah. So I'm selling and my stop loss is at this level. Okay, this is where I set my stop loss. Risk 80 pips. And the market has gone in my direction 102 pips. So if I'm risking 80 pips, my first to be 120 pips. Once the market gets to 120 pips, I would close 70%. I will target 120 pips. Once it gets to 120 pips, I would close 70% of whatever profit I've made on gold. So from this point, so at this point, I want to close 70% of whatever profits I've made on that trade. Okay. So let me place this here so that once price hits this level, I would exit. I will close 70% of my trade. Okay. Gold is bearish at the moment. Gold is bearish at the moment. It is bearish at the moment, and gold is likely going to go for. I see gold coming down to this area. So if you want to buy gold today, I advise you wait for price to pull back to this zone. Okay, wait for price to pull back to this zone before you buy gold. Okay, before you buy gold, wait for price to pull back to this. I think this chart is still updating. Okay, I think it's still updating. The network has gone off again. Okay, so wait for gold to pull back to this zone before you buy. Okay, that is still updating. It's still updating. So guys, I would have to go off now. I would have to go off. So let's meet by 1:25. Let's meet by 1:25 p.m. The link will be available soon. Okay. Let's meet by 1:25 p.m. So on gold, I said it is selling. Gold is likely going to come and fill the value gap. Okay, it's going to come fill this value gap. You can see they attempted filling this gap at this point. You can see they attempted filling this gap at this point, but they didn't fill it. So this low will be used as liquidity, to be used as liquidity. So if you are considering buying, look for buys at this zone. This is where you should consider buying gold. Okay, but at the moment, gold is bearish. Gold is bearish. Okay, gold is bearish. Okay, so see you guys later. Then keep winning.